Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. So we're going to talk about the Capricorn full moon. It's happening on July 13th at 2:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 11:38 a.m. Pacific Standard Time in the United States. So this is on July 13th, and this is going to be a full moon in Capricorn at around 21 degrees. And so you can look in your own personal natal chart and see where 21 degrees is and what house that this full moon is happening in. And the house just means what aspect of life is coming to completion, right? So the houses are always going to be about what aspect of life. And so with the full moon in Capricorn, wherever Capricorn is in your chart, what house it's in, this is where you're likely coming into some sort of assessing how you've structured your reality in this aspect of life, and also how you've structured your own consciousness based on how you see reality. And there can be changes that are happening and have been happening for quite a while in regards to that. Interestingly, this full moon in Capricorn is very close to the area of the sky where Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto all made a conjunction, and then at their south nodes, and I'll tell you what that means in just a minute. But ultimately, these three planets came into conjunction in 2020, and this was very much a ending or completion of chapters of our lives individually, but also as communities, as countries, as a global family, right? And this could have been also, of course, completing chapters in our own family line with our own inherited family karma. And so how we've been evolving our family karma and our family line, and how we've been really structuring our own individual lives, our own individual families, and then how that contributes into society. So we all know that since 2020, a lot has changed in the world. And at this point, with a full moon, we could be really coming to some more resolve around what's occurred in our lives in the last couple of years and how we've been working to evolve the way in which we structure our own consciousness and our own reality. So with all full moons, this means that the moon is opposing the sun, and so the sun is shining a light on our emotional realm, right? Our feelings. And so this is why full moons can bring up our emotions, because it is really taking a look at, and it's linked to the new moon in Capricorn, which would have been on January 2nd of 2022. So this is a 6-month cycle. And so at this point with the full moon, and by the way, that new moon was at 12 degrees of Capricorn, so you can look at that, which is interesting because you have 12 degrees, which numerologically is a 3, and you have 21 degrees where the full moon is now, and that's a 3. So that's interesting to consider. But you can really look at where you were at in seeding new ways in which you wanted to construct your own reality, and how likely you've been working towards that. And then if you haven't been working towards that, likely you're feeling where you're at and where you want to be. And so the full moon can really be beneficial in recognizing, okay, I've really wanted to actually structure my reality in a new way, and what have I been doing to support that? And if I haven't been supporting that, we can feel that gap. And so then that can be this impetus to actually come to completion with that and find new ways to act on our own behalf to create those structures and to create the reality we desire. Interestingly, the moon is in a balsamic conjunction to Pluto in Capricorn. And what a balsamic conjunction means is that it's coming to completion with those planetary energies, right? So the moon is coming into completion with this Plutonian energy. The moon actually moves faster than Pluto, as we likely all know. And so this is really fusing together our emotions and what helps us to feel secure in our reality and what supports our security within reality. And Pluto, where it is that we feel empowered and also where it is that we feel disempowered. And so this is lovely because this really does assist us in actually discerning where is it that I may be leaking my power, in how I'm structuring my consciousness, in how I'm structuring my reality, maybe how I'm structuring my family life, maybe how I'm structuring, maybe really where we find ourselves in society, maybe in our careers, it could be in the communities we find ourselves in, or the groups we find ourselves in. Is it in alignment with how we desire to structure our consciousness and structure our own reality and build the foundations for the realities we desire to experience, right? So the moon balsamic Pluto is also interesting because Pluto is the planetary guide to the transiting south node of the moon right now. And so Pluto is really prominent in our own collective psyche. And so this means, what are my unconscious defaults where I've really been, conditioned, but also programmed my own defaults based on the past, based on how I perceived my own thriving or even survival, and then how that was set as an unconscious programming or default. And is that really resonant with how I perceive thriving now? Is that really resonant with how I need to get my survival needs met now? And so this can be important in reprogramming our defaults to align with new ways that we are valuing ourselves by aligning with our current values. Because Uranus is in Taurus, and Uranus is really having us up-level our own sense of self-love, self-value, and values in general. And we all know that when Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn conjuncted or came in the same part of the sky in 2020, that really we were looking at the way in which we structured our reality, and we were really in this place of slowing down enough to look at how we've structured our reality, and are we really valuing ourselves, and are our values, are we aligning with what we really value? I think in that time frame we really got the time to assess what we had created thus far in our own, how we structured our consciousness and how we structured our reality and our family life and our careers. And then, is it really resonant with what we want now? And so at this point, coming to a full moon, we can really, and at that point in the sky, right, we can really be looking at, okay, I got that information on, are my relationships resonant with what I value? Is my career resonant with what I value? Is my home environment resonant with what I value? is how I'm structuring my own consciousness resonant with what I truly value? And is it in alignment with my own sense of self-love? So Uranus being in Taurus since May of 2018, will be there through I believe June of 2025, and then it'll go into Gemini, is really having us quicken our sense of aligning with our values in our personal self-value. So, interestingly, in this full moon, Mercury is balsamic the sun, meaning a completing conjunction with the sun. It just squared Chiron in Aries. So again, this is a lovely completing conjunction. And in that, we can also be reprogramming how we're acting on behalf of our own needs and really discerning what our own needs are emotionally, what helps us to feel supported, cared for, and first and foremost, are we supporting and caring for ourselves first? Cancerian consciousness tends to want to support the environment, support others. And interestingly, this is connected to, in the Cancerian consciousness, this is the mother energy or the nurturing parent, and this is where we tend to want to nurture the environment because we know emotionally that we are sensing the environment. We are empathetic to the environment. We are feeling the environment, and so it does directly affect our own sense of security. So we tend to want to create safety. And so we'll tend to want to nurture others, but ultimately it is important that we structure our consciousness in a way that we're first supporting ourselves so that we have a solid foundation as we move out into the world and as we then go to support others. So I think that this really speaks to the Mercury square Chiron in Aries and coming up to the sun in a conjunction, right, in Cancer. So how can we first support ourselves so that we can appropriately support the environments that we find ourselves in? Now, interestingly, Uranus is approaching the North Node in Taurus in a conjunction, which is going to be exact on July 31st and August 1st. And this is really, Uranus really electrifies whatever it touches. And so it can quicken, can give a big jolt of like electricity energetically, right? And so this is going to activate wherever the North Node is in your personal chart. What house is it in? And ultimately, collectively, it's activating our sense of self-love and self-value and values in general. And so it is in this full moon chart very close to that conjunction. And so it's definitely worth noting. And it's just highlighting, what needs to be shed in order to align with my values and align with my sense of empowerment and contribution of soul in the world. Venus in Gemini is in a first quarter square to Neptune and Pisces. And so this can really be looking at our relationship to ourselves and what we see as the ideal in our lives, and really how we relate to the collective, how we relate to our own spirituality or spiritual connection, to our higher selves, or to, how we see the ultimate creator and the divine. And, our first and foremost is our relationship to ourself in alignment with that. And then also, are our relationships reflecting that ideal that we desire, the quality of energy that we desire to be submersed in? So the thing is Cancer and Capricorn is part of the cardinal grand cross in the sky, therefore the cardinal grand cross in your own psyche, in your own consciousness. What is the cardinal grand cross? It is these 4 points that creates a cross. And it's cardinal, meaning that it's initiating, it initiates new things into reality. And so, because Cancer and Capricorn naturally squares Aries and Libra, this full moon can be exposing where our relationships may not be resonant with our values. And if that's the case, there can be a culmination or completion with those relationships. And embracing that can be really empowering, because through the emptiness that creates, we are then ready to receive. The North Node of the moon being in Taurus, this is all about shedding what inhibits us from receiving what we value. So whatever it is that's coming into completion in this full moon cycle, recognizing that those feelings of loss are part of the process of emptying, so that we can receive what we really value in our heart, and so that we can attract from that place of really being willing to let go of what doesn't resonate, so that we can actually receive what does resonate and what we do value and what we do love, which is a form of self-love. So I hope this is helpful. If you find it helpful, please do share this video or like it, or I would love to hear what you think in the comments. Where is this happening in your chart? Feel free to post that if you'd like. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love if you do find this to be a helpful video, please do like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.